Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and friends. And indeed, ladies and gentlemen, I brought some friends along for some big talk. Now, of course, one of the big pieces of news that popped out this week was the disappointing news that Microsoft was going to lay off 3% of their workforce. May seem like a low number, but when you're as big as Microsoft, that is a lot of human beings. And that story comes to us from both VGC and Tom Warren. So we'll be reading those stories. A lot of people are going to be out of a job, and that is terrifying in a 2025 where nothing is guaranteed. So of course we're not gonna harp too much on it. There's only so much information. Of course, as just as a human being, I'm disappointed that many people are going to be without a job. But we're going to get into 2 points of contention, which of course is why I invited Dirt Griggity to join us today. Dirt, you did an amazing job on a video today talking about this massive shift from console sales for PlayStation Nation to MAUs. As a matter of fact, thanks to Colt Eastwood, I have some numbers that are pretty jarring and really clear as day as to why Sony wants to move to those MAUs. How you doing, brother? Welcome back.
Hey man, thanks for the invite. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for checking out my video. Yeah, man. Some interesting stuff to talk about, man. Definitely some interesting stuff to talk about. So let's get to it.
And on top of that, it looks like they're going to be raising their prices too. Didn't see too much media coverage over that. I think they're going to put their head in the sand and pretend that doesn't exist if it does, and it looks like it is going to happen for PlayStation. And what does that mean ultimately? It's going to be the console for sure. It's probably going to be over $100, and we got to wonder whether or not that's going to incorporate peripherals and or games. Right. We will certainly discuss that. But Hargeet Chani, my brother, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you being here as you are each and every Wednesday evening. Listen, obviously the community game, the community, what is it? The community
Fan Fest.
Fan Fest. Thank you, sir. Is the drawings are done. Everyone that make sure check your emails and see if you got picked. Hopefully you did. Hopefully you did sign up for it. But even though the drawing is technically over, there's still going to be an opportunity to hang out with us because after and before the event is, obviously we're going to be hanging around. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So for those who are interested in being out in LA, you can still catch us. We'll probably be around the JW area or hanging around with the various things. We'll definitely go to Summer Game Fest and stuff like that as well. I don't know if Boone, you're probably not going to be there. I think you're coming in a little bit.
I'm flying in that day. I'm going to just miss it.
Yeah. I'll be a little too late.
Yeah.
So hey, Kay Sante's here too. But we will definitely be around that weekend, right? So if you want to try to hang out, certainly reach out. And then everybody, as far as the raffle, we have concluded the raffle, and we'll be sending out those emails. So wait for those emails.
Nice. Wow. I mean, it's going to be a very fun time. Obviously, this is for the community, by the community, and the community watch party is going to be something that is Ben and yourself, as well as everyone that's helping on the back end of it, is something that you guys and gals are going to want to do every year. And obviously, there is a lot of exciting things that I currently know that we're not talking about right now, but it is going to be fun, and it's going to be very exciting to have the fans there actually, watching what Xbox is showing. But again, it should be very interesting. Originally, I was going, then I wasn't, and now I'm back to going along with Kay Sante because he literally took me off the ledge with him. He's like, "Boom, we're going," and we just jumped, and there you go. Kay Sante, what's going on, my brother? How you feeling?
Man, I'm good. Sorry, I'm a little late. It's been a crazy, busy kind of couple days. All is well. Yes. I'm here. I'm here for the fun. What's going on, Dirt? What's going on, Hargeet? Good to see you, Hargeet, by the way, at PAX East. Hope you recuperated. Running around them halls like crazy people. It was fun. Yeah, man.
Well, listen, we're happy to have you gentlemen here. So let's open up with the bad news. The bad news is that it was announced the other day that Microsoft as a company. This now it doesn't. Does it affect Xbox? It does. We just don't know how many from Xbox. But again, in this kind of world where unfortunately layoffs are a thing, and it doesn't look like it's going away. It was announced by Microsoft that they are cutting 3% of their workforce. And like I said in the opening, 3% as a number on its own is not a big number. But when you are Microsoft and you do have that many employees, 3% is a big deal. As a matter of fact, it equates to 6,800 people are going to be without a job. And of course, look, we don't shy away from these conversations. There isn't much to really say past my disappointment with Microsoft having to lay off that many people. I know that it's an industry thing, but that does not make it right. And even though we're not going to spend half an hour on something like this because there's really not much to say other than I'm disappointed with Microsoft that they would do that. It's a conversation that I think actually still needs to happen. We'll go first to Dirk Riggedy. Dirk, when you heard that they were going to get rid of that many people, it's a bit jarring, to be honest with you. What are your thoughts on it, man?
Well, I mean, like you said, there's not much we can say. It's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation. It's been happening everywhere, not just gaming, entertainment. It's been happening everywhere.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's unfortunate. There's nothing we can do. I just hope those people are able to get back on their feet as soon as possible. And, that's it, man. I mean, it's happening everywhere, not just gaming, but this is what's happening nowadays, and it's unfortunate. So,
yeah, it is. And again, folks, they're not the only big to do this. On March 5th, PlayStation themselves announced that they would letting go 900 people. Again, this has been the unfortunate trend for gaming, and it's not just 2025, Hargeet. This has been going on since all of last year. As a matter of fact, I think last year might have been, just based on some of the numbers, one of the worst years to be a game developer, because the layoffs and the studio closures was unlike anything I think it's ever come before it. And again, we're not even halfway through 2025. We've seen layoffs, we've seen studio closures, we've seen games that were supposed to come out that are no longer coming out. And this is just another piece of bad news for the tech industry, and Microsoft, again, getting rid of 3% of their workforce. And I would imagine that is going to somehow include people from Xbox, but we don't know where. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, just like Dirt was saying, this is unfortunate. It is what it is. Like, unfortunately, this stuff happens all the time, especially in companies that are publicly traded. They just go through these gyrations. So I don't know what the impact would be to Xbox specifically, but just it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, these are human beings that are going to lose their jobs, right? It is what it is across whatever industry segment that Microsoft's working in. And I don't know where these things are going to get focused, right? Or if they're trying to preserve cash for other things, right? Maybe they're looking to invest in other areas, maybe AI or something like that. I don't know, right? But ultimately, it does kind of just stink. But this is corporate, normalcy when you have publicly traded companies. They do this every quarter. There's something, right? There's like we have to make our books look good, and therefore we're going to do blah, and then they undo a lot of that. Like it's normal if you're in a publicly traded company. But that is what it is. I don't know what the impact's going to be to Xbox. That's going to be more interesting to us when we kind of find out what the the specifics are when it comes to the gaming world. But outside of that, we just have to kind of wait and see. It is still disappointing, but again, it is just kind of normal. I'm just used to it from all publicly traded companies that will do these kind of things. Private companies do it too, but they do it usually when they're like really there's just no choice. But usually public companies, this is just like it's the next quarter, the next layoff, like whatever. It's just unfortunate, but that's just kind of how it goes, right? But yeah, it's still disappointing news, right? But as you also mentioned, this has been going on, right? It's just this is not new. It's just it is what it is.
Well, what's unfortunate is, and I think why it stings a little bit, Keasante, is this comes off of the heels of price announcements, right? And again, so we're going to get into the Sony thing. Sony's going to be a two-tiered conversation because there is the potential price increase. And now whether that's going to be only consoles, we don't know. We saw Nintendo raise prices on even peripherals. Peripherals are not made here in the States. They are made in China. They're made in Vietnam for PlayStation. So you could see an increase that there as well. But it's their announcement of their shifting of their mindset that's interesting. We're going to get into all that in a second. But let's get your final thoughts, okay, Asante, on this 3% of the workforce being laid off, and what are your thoughts on it, man?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say as the panel has astutely already pointed out. It's basically corporate America being corporate America. It's a sign of our current times, right? It makes it more difficult when you know the context of, oh, but the company has more money, and that logically would make you think that they wouldn't make that decision. And that's generally not how it works, right? Every division defends for themselves. Everyone must make their numbers look good somehow. And more often than not, it ends up, affecting people in a real way just to make those numbers even go down just slightly in the smallest way, right? And then 5 minutes later, what do? After the numbers are met, or after the numbers are or missed, or whatever the outcome is, then they run to undo all the damage they've done the previous quarter, as if that will clean up any mess, even though many people who've had their livelihoods for many years are now disenfranchised or displaced or whatever, right? So it's an unfortunate byproduct of corporate America. That's just the way the environment is. Hopefully, the unintended consequence of this that has happened is more and more this is happening. As we've been speaking to a bunch of devs as we went to PAX, we've been hearing about this as more and more people go through these struggles. A lot of the devs that we met were those who were displaced last time around or the time before, and they went, you know what, screw that, I'm going indie, I'm doing my own thing, right? And some of them find great success and some of them don't, but at least they're trying, right? And unfortunately, this will probably be similarly, many people may not return, or they'll just head into the indie sector. So hopefully, as was said, we hear that they're back on their feet soon. But I don't think this will be the last time we hear about a bunch of people losing their jobs, specifically in the game section. Unfortunately, that's just part for the course these days.
Yeah, and again, folks, not the biggest topic of the show, but I find it that as a podcaster who has a voice, who has an audience that tunes in like you guys and gals do on a regular basis, and of course, Mrs. Boom and I are incredibly grateful for the support. We got to talk about it. Now, is there anything we can actually do? No, I don't have any control over Microsoft and how they do their business. But it is unfortunate. And I do think that it is worthy of at least, 10, 15, even 20 minutes making a topic where the conversation can be real, because ultimately these are human beings. I don't know what positions exactly are going to be affected, but there's going to be people that are not going to be able to pay their mortgage or rent if they don't have a job. And that's why I do, if I have the opportunity to speak about something that I find to be egregious, we're going to talk about it. Maybe again, it's not going to win me any subs, but I do think that it's worthy of taking the 5 and 10, 15, 20 minutes to kind of just have a conversation on it. But Dirt, I'm going to go right back to you immediately, because see, this Sony topic is two-tiered. And I want to really get into what you talked about on your video. So, folks, the video that I'm referring to, he posted today, and it was that a lot of the Xbox fan base is angry at the new CFO for the announced direction change. Now, the tweet I have...
fan base.
I said, okay, thank you for the PlayStation fan base. What did I say, Xbox? Oh my God. Yeah. That's like when you supposedly said on your podcast, God of War and not Gears of War. I was there. You said Gears of War. It's fine. But thank you for the correction. So the tweet I have in front of me is from Genki_JPN. Now, of course, when I use someone's work, whether it be a tweet, whether it be an article, I do have to give credit where credit is due. And Genki goes on to say the new CEO or the CFO, Lynn Tayo, says that there have been 2 major changes to Sony Interactive Entertainment since the recent leadership change. And when this is what she goes on to say. Before, sell-in units was the focus on now management was the focus, but now management is focused on engagement and or MAUs that's going to help them with leading to profitability. But the second point of contention here, and this is where, you know, you said in your video that even though she didn't say it, you kind of felt that she was alluding to it, and I agree. And I'll read it verbatim. It says financial discipline within the first party studios. And I quote, in the past, there were various issues. We are still halfway, but I think the mindset has changed significantly. And I think even though she's not saying it so much, and I believe you said it in your video, she was talking about Concord. And this financial discipline that she was referring to could also mean the other 9 games, the 8 or 9 games that were canceled. Because again, if Dirt, if me and you are in a, hanging out and I draw something on a piece of paper, that's considered development, right? And there was no money spent. But if you spend 2, 3, 5 years on a game that just gets shut down, that's millions of dollars that has been wasted. And just for, complete context right here, Concord itself cost upwards over the 7 years that it was in development, $400 million. And that's money they're never going to get back because this game came out and it was a disaster. They shut it down. It's never coming back. Let's get your thoughts on this financial discipline and this change to MAUs, because again, it's always been with PlayStation fans, console sale. And look, the PS5, 77 million consoles out in the wild. That's amazing. There's no arguing that's a lot of consoles. But like you said in your video and what you said in the podcast with the guys, PlayStation gamers don't buy games. And a perfect example of that is what happened with Astrobot, one of my favorite games of last year. Apparently not so much for PlayStation Nation. Let's get your thoughts, man.
Well, yeah. I love what she said about financial discipline, because I mean, that's pretty obvious. Like you just said, you don't cancel 10 games in 3 years and expect everything to be okay. You wasted time and money, because in today's industry, time is very important. Because if a AAA game is taking 5 to 6 years to develop and you wasted 3 or 4 years, you just wasted millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel what she said, financial discipline, that's 100% what she was talking about. You guys are wasting money pretty much. You're wasting money. You're spending money doing things, and we're getting no return on our investment. I mean, clear as day. That's what she was talking about. Concord, an absolute disaster. That game will go down as one of the biggest flops of all time. Not just a PlayStation, not just Xbox, anybody. One of the biggest flops of all time.
It might be worse than E.T.
Listen, how many games? Boom. How many games?
Oh, it's definitely worse than E.T. E.T. still sold millions of copies. This thing sold like 20,000 or some shit. Yeah. No, it is absolutely worse.
Come out and then it's canceled. I've never seen
anything like it. Yeah.
So as far as the MAUs, if you look at MAUs, right, every month, every week, or whenever we look at those charts, those games are the same games as a service. We see Call of Duty, we see, Minecraft, we see, Roblox, Fortnite, the same games every month. PlayStation is huge, right? They have the market share. They have 77 million consoles out there. The casuals chose the PlayStation 5 as their console of choice. So PlayStation see the the money coming in from these games. They want their own first party game like that, right? They haven't been able to do it yet, but at the same time, engagement is more important nowadays, because this is not 2006. Before it was buy our console, then buy our games.
Yeah,
cool. Now it's okay, buy our console, buy our games, or you can Buy our games on PC. In PlayStation's case, they want engagement on their titles. Of course, the consoles are still important. They're not saying the consoles are not important, but they're just not as important as they used to be. Right? Because this isn't just an Xbox thing. People used to say, oh, Xbox doesn't care about console sales because they're getting their butt whooped, because they're losing. They're not selling consoles. Listen, now we have the big bad PlayStation saying some of the same things that Phil Spencer and company said for years. What they've been saying for years. It's about engagement. It's about MAUs, because if you have this single player game, 20 hours long, you beat the game, that's it. That worked fine 20 years ago. That worked fine even 15 years ago. But in today's times, these game budgets are so crazy that these companies are looking for more money back in their pockets over time. That's why they have games as a service. That's why they bought Bungie. They thought Bungie could help them with their with their games as a service strategy, with their live service games. And so far, Bungie hasn't really, done that. But we'll see what happens in the future. So I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna shut up. I just feel that this is a different time, and people need to open their eyes. This isn't the same Xbox. This isn't the same PlayStation. Right now, Nintendo is still Nintendo, but maybe even eventually, Nintendo first-party games will go up in budget. I mean, but Nintendo has a good thing because their games sell like crazy. Their first-party games sell like crazy. And this is what's going on, and I think PlayStation realizes. I don't think PlayStation wants to do, put their games on PC. I don't think they want to do that. I think that's something they have to do. I don't think they wanted to pivot completely to live service games. I felt that's something they felt they had to do, and that's why they're doing it. Even though they haven't been successful with it yet, with the exception of Helldivers 2, they're going to keep on trying. They're not going to stop trying. So we'll see what happens in the future.
It's very interesting. You say that maybe PlayStation honestly doesn't want to do games as a service, and you said in the video they're going to have no choice but to do it.
I think they have to do it.
The problem right now, Hargeet, is, and I love that you threw the Concorde picture behind you. The problem is this. Sony spends a lot of money on their games. A perfect example of money spent was the $315 million it cost to do Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 2 got one-upped by Helldivers 2, right? It didn't sell as much as... Now, you can say, why? Why didn't it sell as much? Is it Spider-Man fatigue? Is it Marvel fatigue? I couldn't tell you, quite frankly. I thought the game was amazing, but it is what it is. It didn't sell as much as they wanted it to, and you know what? Maybe that's going to be a trend. But they had already forecast a $400+ million budget for Spider-Man 3, which then, of course, a couple of rumors came out of that big leak from Insomniac, where they were going to try and split it into 3 games, kind of stretching it out. And of course, that is ultimately to make money. Now, how that's going to affect the development of it, we don't know, because there's been no real talk on it. But the switch to MAUs is a very, very interesting thing, because traditionally, and listen, let's call a spade here. PlayStation is a very traditional-esque company, right? They're very traditional in the way they do things, and it has been for years that console sales are the priority, getting people in. But, when they say MAUs, see, and Dirt, you read off a couple of people that said some pretty silly things, actually, in your video that were a bit head-scratching. And again, I understand the console war shenanigans, and you want to, defend your console of choice. That's all fine and good. But if it ain't making dollars, it ain't making sense, right? Especially to the corporations. I mean, that's just a fact. But Hargeet, MAUs don't start and stop at selling your games on just your own brand, your own platform, your own console. It doesn't. MAUs are used when you are selling your wares pretty much everywhere. And I have a number in front of me. Now this, let me just pull this up real quick here. Hold on just a second. Where is it? So Colt Eastwood put out a tweet, and this is pretty interesting when you consider it's a 5-to-1 ratio. Now this is coming off of the financials. Colt has PlayStation at 123 million MAUs. It sounds like a lot. That's a lot of human beings. Xbox has over 500 million monthly active users. And I mean, that's where Sony wants to be. Now, why is Xbox at 500? Because you can play their things anywhere and everywhere. And that's why, again, listen, Dirt, you've talked about it. Hargeet, you've talked about it. So has Kay, so have I. We, as old school cats, would have never sanctioned or signed off on multiplat. The fact that Gears of War Reloaded is going to be on PlayStation is still super weird, but it's the business. And we may not like it, sure, but that's where these MAUs come from. It comes from Minecraft. It comes from Call of Duty. It comes from everything that Microsoft owns. And, I'm not saying this is happening tomorrow, but at some point, they're going to have to go somewhere else outside their own fan base to get these MAUs if they're switching there. Let's get your thoughts on the CFO's announcement.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is always going to be the case. They want to get more average revenue per user, right? That's the holy grail is really just ARPU increases, right? And the announcement comes amongst many obvious things that are changing. But one of the problems here is for PlayStation to get there, they need games that actually matter, and unfortunately, they don't have them. That's just a frank reality. People seem to think that their games are these massive. You mentioned one of them. Astro won Game of the Year, but had like 2 million sales, right? Like that's not engagement levels that matter. It's just not. Right. Minecraft is a far better thing that Xbox has that has a kid-friendly game that just generates money over money over money, including hundreds of millions in sales. Like it's just the way it is, right? So what Xbox is doing is saying, where can we increase our customer base, our engagement? And a lot of that, let's also understand, they bought King. We keep forgetting that King has massive MAUs, massive. Okay. And that's a part of the number. And then on top of that, they have these black hole games that like Call of Duty that people just buy and keep playing, right? Xbox is in a position where they actually have what PlayStation is looking for. But that's because they have daddy Microsoft to say, oh, we want to buy that for $2.5 billion. Oh, no problem. You want to buy that for $7.5 billion? Oh, no problem. Well, you want to buy that for $70 billion? Oh, no problem. Right? They can do that. It's not easy for Sony to do that. So they're trying to build their own games. They bought Bungie, which in my view, that has been a massive epic fail. They have just not gotten their value. They just have not. It's been a waste of money.
Yes.
Marathon is... I'm sorry, but it's looking like the trajectory of Concord. It's just not. It's not getting that engagement that you would expect.
Could you imagine two Concords in one generation?
Hey, Boom! I would tell you one thing. Console war, obviously, I will have a great day.
Yeah,
I'll be talking so much trash. They'll never hear the end of it.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I'm not that like to that level because I like Bungie because of what they've done with Halo, but it will be sad because that will pretty much mean the end of Bungie, at least as we know it. Team LFG, the announcement with gummy bears. Are you serious? This is the game you're greenlighting? Gummy bears? Honestly, like look at that description and tell me who's excited. Who's excited to play that game? What are they? They cancel the games that I would have been much more excited to play something like a Spider-Man Multiverses. That sounded really cool to me. They canceled that game. Okay.
How about a Twisted Metal?
Twisted Metal.
They had a Twisted Metal.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Factions, on and on. They canceled the games that people would actually play. And they're putting out gummy bears? Really? Like, this thing had better be special because, like, from the description, I'm like, are you out of your minds? What are you even thinking? But that's what Team LFG is working on. Okay, whatever. They have put out fail after fail after fail when it comes to this, except for Helldivers, which I'll give kudos to that team. But that's not their game. That was Arrowhead, right? I think that's the name of the studio that had a cool concept. made a sequel, made it better. It's working. Fantastic. Yes, they own the IP. I get that. But that was that studio's game, and that's why it worked. Everything that they have greenlit has been just a disaster. I don't know what's going on with that like management team, where it used to be they could find all the good stuff. The people that did that are gone. It's ridiculous what they're putting out. Intergalactic, I still gave it like, okay, this seems okay. I'll give it a chance. PlayStation players hated it. They have a massive dislike to like ratio on that. And like, how is this where they are today? This is PlayStation today. So you have to have games that matter. Here's the thing that I've been thinking about lately is like, when that Gears E-Day came up, that trailer comes up, you had grown man tears with people saying, oh my God, this is the best thing. Like, yeah, great. Tell me when that's happened in PlayStation in the last like 3 years. What do they have that makes you excited? Tell me, like what? I'm looking for that thing that says this is why I need to be on PlayStation. And I'm sorry, it's just not there. Okay, this Gears E-Day, let's say it launches everywhere. I don't care. They're bringing stuff that makes me emotionally attached. I actually give a shit. What is PlayStation doing? There's really not much. I mean, I'm still happy that Ghost of Yotai is being made. I'll get to check it out on PC. Hopefully it's a good game. I hope it is. What do they have? That like Xbox is just giving you game after game after game after game after game after game. What do they have to counter that? Like, not much. They don't. Now they want this monthly active user stuff. Great. But that comes from materializing something that keeps people engaged with your platform. Ultimately, if Xbox keeps doing this, it's going to be very hard for PlayStation to continue to increase that monthly active engagement. It just will. Right now, they have Destiny that bumped it up quite a bit. And PlayStation players, the PS Plus and all that stuff, I don't know where they are because they've stopped publishing the numbers. Usually when that happens, that means what? It's not looking good.
Right.
Are they increasing it? I don't know because they haven't told us. So we have no idea. What is the PS Plus number now? I have no idea. So, okay, that's the way it is. To be fair, Game Pass hasn't told us much either. We've gotten some industry analysts telling us, but that's really it. This is kind of where things are. Monthly engagement is obviously on the side of Xbox here. You take the other big platform here, Nintendo, and again, they just kind of keep doing their thing. They keep selling tons of consoles. They keep selling tons of copies of their games. We'll see if that changes with this generation. We'll see. It doesn't look like it's really going to change that much, but it could slow down. We'll see. But when it comes to PlayStation and monthly active users, you have to have compelling content to make that grow. I don't know that they have it. They're basically banking on people being on their platform and buying third-party stuff. And that's what they said in their freaking financials. They're looking to go down in revenue next year. Just think about that.
Yeah.
They're looking to go down in revenue next year. That's their forecast. That's not cool. You don't expect to go down. You're supposed to find a way to go up. What the heck are they doing? So this is PlayStation. Going forward, I'm not sure where they're going to be right now. In the top 10, they're number one in revenue. Next is Tencent. So at 31 billion, Tencent's 27. Xbox is at like 21. That can change this year as it grows and keeps growing. They could potentially, Xbox could go ahead of Tencent. And then it goes to where is Sony? If they keep decreasing revenue, guess where Xbox ends up? So Xbox is supposed to be dead, but they're not dead at all.
Yeah.
Just to round it out, the top 10, Apple, who makes no games, but they take people's money from games, which is a whole other new topic because Apple just got slapped and they have to now allow other stores, which may take away from that revenue. NetEase, Nintendo, EA, Epic, Take-Two, and Embracer, of all people, is number 10. But that's kind of the top 10. If this continues, where is Sony going to end up? And I don't know where this heads, but Xbox has been doing like the right steps of saying, we don't care where you play. We just want you as a customer. And ultimately, that just works. It just works, right? Allowing your games to be owned anywhere. You buy it once, play it wherever you want. That's a very cool consumer friendly thing to do. And if you keep going down this path of like, no, we're a locked ecosystem, we're not going to do cross entitlement. Okay, people will eventually say, why do I need you? What is it you're bringing to the table? If they don't have stellar games every freaking quarter or month or whatever, because look, Xbox is putting out games every month.
Yeah, they are.
It's just the way it is.
It's crazy, like to the point where I can't even keep up as a gamer. It's just too much.
and if that continues, that trend continues. Let's say they put out 8 to 10 games every year. Nintendo has been doing that, by the way. Every year, they've been putting out 8 to 10 games themselves. Where's Sony's response to this? And I don't see them changing that, right? So they've tried with like, let's go get Kadokawa. That didn't work out. They've just announced a partnership. I don't know if it was there already, but with Bandai. Again, they're not going to buy them. They don't have that kind of capital, but they're doing something there. Again, what does that mean from an overall perspective? Where are they? Are they just banking on like Tencent on other companies doing stuff and we will just take a profit share? Okay, that's something fine. But where are they going to be long term? And in the gaming world, if you want this MAUs, you need to have games that matter, right? When Tears of the Kingdom showed its stuff, you had the same grown man tears. When E-Day came out, if Halo gets shown, tell me there won't be grown man tears. Okay,
I got news for you. Expect me to go crazy if they mention Banjo Kazooie, because I'm yelling Banjo Bros as loud as I can.
But what do they have that's going to bring that? And that is the problem, right? They talk about their main focus is content, condo, emotion. That's what they want. Let me give you another little fun thing. They're saying they're pivoting away from the consumer electronics world to emotional content. They're seeing the majority of their money is being made on content, on IP. What does that leave them with? The entirety of Sony got big because of consumer electronics. That's a segment they're failing in. The only thing in consumer electronics that works for them is their imaging sensors and their cameras. Okay, cool. Which is something they should continue. Fair enough, right? Doesn't mean that a PlayStation console, which is consumer electronics, is exactly the focus they have. Where does this go in the future? If they want to grow, they need to make bold moves, get something that works already in the mobile space. You need to have mobile, no way around it, and on the PC space. Go figure out what you want to do there and get rid of this idea that you have console exclusivity, because that's just not a good way to go. If you want that engagement, it's everywhere. You have to go everywhere. That's how Microsoft is at 500 million, right? If you want to have, a couple 100 million, you want to grow, their current growth is incremental 5%. Okay. If that's happy, that's good for you. Good enough, right? How long will it take for you to even catch up to 500 million? I might be dead. Good luck with that. But if you want to grow to a couple of 100 million, you're gonna have to make bold moves. And this idea that we're gonna lock this to here, get out of here. That crap is over. Forget it. You can't lock anything. Put it everywhere. You already have a cloud service. Use it. You already have freaking games on PC. Do it day and date. What are you thinking? Get rid of the stupid mode of like, we have to. Your console is not making you the revenue you're expecting. It's declining. You expected more. It's not happening. So you need to change your tune. Take your service, put it on PC. Try to gain customers there. There's no reason not to. You've chosen to lock yourself. This is on you. You want to go into a bigger space, compete at a bigger space. You already have an equivalent. You have Microsoft doing exactly what you want to do. You're just too reticent to do the same goddamn thing. Nothing stops you from doing the same things they're doing except you. You can't buy the big companies. That doesn't mean you can't change your tune on what you're doing to make things better for your consumer so they're attracted to you as a customer. That's on you. Continue this pattern and you're not going to grow the way you're thinking. Your competitors are going to take your lunch. You have to be careful about where you are. Top dog today, but we know top dog today means nothing tomorrow. Anything can change at any time. Competitors will come and eat your lunch. You have to, just like Asante was saying, indies are coming in and saying, that's nice, but I can have something that's better and I'll just do it myself. And today, this year, Expedition 33, ex-devs from Ubisoft, right, saying, all right, well, we can just, with 30 guys, we can just make a game that, takes over everything. All right, fair enough. Split Fiction.
Yeah.
Blueprints. The top games. These are all small little developers, small indie.
Yep.
This is the way it is, right? So, continue your path. Continue your stupidity. I don't know, man. It might be better to think about how you can maximize your profits as well. You've got a competitor doing it. You're welcome to copy them. We'll see how this all works out, but that's kind of my thoughts on monthly engagement. Yes, it's as far as those people who are still stuck in the old world of my console, my exclusives. Good for you. Yep. That's not where the world is. All these companies need to make money. That's just the end result. Most of the times when these things fail, what happened to this studio? It's dead. It's gone. It's gone. Several hundred people lost their jobs. It's gone. That's what happens. You're going to have to be careful with these ideas of exclusives. It doesn't matter. Most of the studios that made all those cool exclusives are gone, including the PlayStation ones. They're gone. They're shut down. You're going to keep seeing this unless you say, no, we're going to focus on making sure the game has enough funding based on it being where it needs to be to get engagement. That's got to be it. Now, they don't have the luxury that Microsoft has with all these black hole games. That's going to be a problem. I mean, Destiny is there. Hopefully it continues. Helldivers, I don't know how much money they're making on Helldivers, but, that's there. And that's basically all they've got. So, at least from my memory. So, I don't know what's going to happen with Marathon, but I have a bad feeling it's going to end up like this. And good luck, right? They're expecting a lot of revenue from that. That's what their expectation is for growth. And I'm like, are you paying attention? I don't think you're getting it. Good luck. Basically, you're a third party, console that allows, makes money based on third parties. Otherwise, you're not really making money on your own stuff. But they're expecting that first party is going to pick up again when they release Yotai and Marathon. I'm like, all right, good luck. But what wasn't mentioned was Fair Games. I don't even know where that is. Why the heck they're still funding that game? I don't know, because that didn't look like it was a winner either.
I remember.
But hey, whatever.
Greg Miller predicted that Fair Games would be canceled too.
Yeah.
That was his.
I mean, I don't disagree, but like, make the decision instead of wasting the money. Either put that thing out or whatever, cancel the game and whatever they're going to do with the studio. I don't know, man. I don't see a lot of fun over there. A lot of the PlayStation fans, when I listen to them, any of their stuff, it's always they're miserable. They're not happy, not having fun. Compare that to us. We're just having fun. We just got this game right here, right? You have it on the background here. We just keep getting games. We're just having fun. Whatever, right? Like, enjoy gaming. That was the intent. We're supposed to have fun with games. Their side is miserable. But okay, enjoy your misery.
It's very difficult to even respond to that. Both Dirt and Hargeet have knocked it out of the park. I think there's a lot more questions at PlayStation, which is why they've made so many big changes in leadership, and now they're changing their direction on console sales. Because again, if you just look at the quarterlies, which I have in front of me, okay, now the quarterlies for PlayStation, it was reported that PlayStation hardware was down 30%. Right, but they still sold a bunch of consoles. I think it was 2.6 or 2.8 million in that quarter period. And I look again. I don't know this for a fact, but I think that the Grand Theft Auto 6 delay, if anyone's hurt by it, that's not Rock's. The 2K. It's probably PlayStation, because that was going to be their. They have the marketing. At least we think they have the marketing. That would have been big to sell consoles, because what they want to do is move people from PS4 and PS4 Pro to PS5, even if it's just the discless, one, and it's the cheapest one they have, which we don't know how long cheap, because second half of the podcast, we're going to get into the potential price hikes. We'll get to that in a second, but they had hardware down 30%. They had network services up 15%, which that's excellent. They were down in total gaming revenue, negative 4%. Now, Microsoft's last reported quarterly was hardware was down again, and this is like, I don't know how many quarters it's consecutive. It could be 4, it could be 5, it could even be more. But they've had significant drops in their console sales. We all know that. This is not a surprise.
Mhm.
They were up 8% in content and services, and that's where you got that number of 45% for Xbox Game Pass for PC going up year over year. But their total gaming revenue was 5% in the positive, as opposed to the negative 4% for PlayStation. So again, the third party scenario, even a lot of us old dogs don't like it. It's making sense. And again, you've heard me talk about this before. Dirt, you've probably even seen some of the videos where I said, what happens when 5, 6, 7 of the top 10 most paid for games on PlayStation are Xbox first party games? That has happened already.
Yeah,
that has already happened.
Yep.
So, and again, they're selling really well on PlayStation. Why are they selling well on PlayStation? Because they're starving over there. They don't. Sony's not feeding the masses. But let's bring in Keosante. Keosante, let's talk about these MAUs, because this is is it surprising to any of us? Not really, because we're in the business of reading lots of articles and podcasting multiple times a week. So, you know, the tea leaves basically say that it's going to be engagement that they're going to want to judge. It's not. Console sales are great. Console sales are important. Let's not make a mistake of that. But this switch to MAUs, like in Dirt's video, pissed off a lot of the PlayStation loyalists that think that that is a bad move. And I kind of agree with Dirt that I think you got to let the billion-dollar corporation run themselves and not have the ones from the sideline running the show, because they'll be bankrupt.
Yeah.
Let's get your thoughts on the switch from console sales and the fiscal responsibility aspect of it. Is they can't have another Concord, but they might with Marathon.
So to me, this switch from the way they used to calculate things to monthly active users kind of reminds me, and it's not exactly the same, so go there with me, but it kind of reminds me of when Netflix switched from DVDs to digital sales, and people started losing their minds about it, right? Like now, today, in the 2025 world that we live in, does anybody even think that Netflix takes whichever TV that it's on seriously? Meaning, you know, the breakdown of how many people are watching us from an LG TV versus watching us from a Samsung TV versus watching us from a TV versus a phone versus, right? I suspect those numbers and those breakdowns are important to them, right? Because that then allows them to target their ads a bit better and probably target their demographic better based on where you use it. But beyond that, I don't think they see that as a valuable indicator of their successful business, right? They see that as just another platform to deliver their services, right? Like, and here comes where we have been going for the longest time. Y'all have heard me go do the rounds and make my gray beard jokes about it. You've heard me call all of us horseshoe makers. You've heard this. We did this back in 2024. Like, this is what's happening. We knew this was happening then. It was just slowly dribs and drabs, and now the gas is on. They, you know, and every time you go, but why? They slap you across the face with Doom to Dark Ages and say, shut up and let's go. That's where we are today, right? Honestly, I think this MAU conversation is a valid one, right? They, as you guys have all pointed out, you know, these guys are like, everyone has always assumed that since monthly active users was not the barometer for game consoles in the beginning, that is now, like, I don't know, Hollywood accounting or fuzzy math or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't seem to understand that as we've become digitally connected, that is a byproduct of DLC and black hole games, and you know, that's the byproduct of that. And the moment they switch, because let's make no mistake about it, I am not happy about this switch to MAUs, specifically from PlayStation, because I don't go to PlayStation for MAU kind of games. I go to PlayStation for beginning, middles, and ends. So if they are no longer looking at the beginning, middles, and ends and using those barometers as their mark of success, that means I'm no longer their target audience. And chances are they will not be speaking to me, right?
Wow,
which means
point,
their
man.
next Spider-Man may be like MAU capturing rather than some guy who will pay you $60 for your game, right? This is what we must understand. The world is changing beneath our feet, and us graybeards have to get on board or understand that your children will get on board so they don't need you anymore. That's just the way it is. And I understand that people like to live in the back and forth, right? So when the market leader isn't doing it and PlayStation and Xbox is doing it, now you're going, well, everybody says it's the whole industry, but I only see Xbox doing it. Yeah, but when they are literally like one of the world's biggest publisher and they move a policy and it literally moves mad other businesses to adapt, it kind of speaks to something, right? When it is what it is. We must learn to understand that the way we saw things are no longer the way they are seen. And the thing that just makes me a little bit not sad, but like it gives me pause is we can only have this level-headed conversation once PlayStation gets on board. And it happens over and over and over. Like how many times
great points, man.
Me and Everborn Saga, when he was still on the show, we're sitting here talking about, don't listen to what PlayStation's saying. Look at what Xbox did 2 years ago. That's what tell you what they're doing. We go check the digital receipts. I will wait for you to do so. Like it's all over the place. And they are doing exactly that. And when we say that, it's not to say that, oh, they suck or they're doing this or they're doing that. We see where the business is going. The only difference between the two of them is one is infected with foot and mouth disease where they just can't stop talking, and the other won't say a damn thing, but they're both heading in the same damn direction. That's what's happening. Right?
Wow.
And as the rest of y'all have pointed out astutely, the only reason why they turn around and they make their player base feel like special snowflakes is because they can't afford to just be like, all right, we bought ABK. Now we don't need y'all no more. If they could, your services would no longer be needed. That's just the way it is.
Wow.
Right? It is what it is. So that's it.
It's interesting. Yeah, Dirt, I first of all, unbelievable stuff. Okay. But you know what? You enlightened me. I have a PlayStation 5, and I'm not shy about this, folks. I like their first party games. I like the story driven, over the shoulder, adult theme type of storytelling that they do. Now, is it for everyone here, which we have almost 600 people watching live? Probably not. You probably yawn at every time I gush over Astrobot. Like it was one of my favorite games of the year because I love platformers and he is adorable, right? So of course I like the character. I like what they did with the PlayStation. If you're a fan of PlayStation, you got to play that game and enjoy it for what it is. It is a celebration of the brand. And if you're not, I get it. But you said something super, super interesting. And that is if they're switching from console sales and how they normally do business, which is first party, single player, story driven content, to games that are going to account for MAUs. This tells me that those story games are going to be far and few between. And that's is why a big
I'm
problem.
worried. That's how you lose me, right? That's exactly it.
And you know what? I believe, I agree with you guys. And if you realize, if you think about last generation with the PS4, PlayStation conditioned their fan base for those types of games.
Yes,
absolutely.
They didn't have any multiplayer games last generation. And here we go. All of a sudden, we'll give you a few single player games here and there. But our focus is live service games now. And, you have to understand why some PlayStation fans are disgruntled right now about some of the things they're saying. Like MAUs, well, it was always about console sales in the past. And the new CFO said that. It was about console sales in the past, but that is no longer the case. It has changed. Things are different. And I love the Netflix analogy that Kay Asante used, but it's also something else. Like we think about music. Nobody talks about album sales anymore. It's about, Drake had 200 million streams in the first 24 hours.
How many LPs did he sell, bro? How many cassettes?
Nobody
did he
asked
move?
that, right? Nobody asked that, right? Because everything has changed. We are in 20. Listen, man. Listen, Boom. I'm 48 years old, right? I don't know how old you guys are.
I'm going to be 55 in September, bro. So I'm an old cat.
Gray beard.
Okay, cool. So I said that to say this. I remember being a teenager, wondering how the future would be, watching Back to the Future. Like, man, how would the future be? Oh, yeah. We are literally in 2025 right now. If we can go tell ourselves in the early 90s, yo, man, you won't believe what's going on, the technology we have. And we have people here today still want things to be 100% traditional. I mean, listen, I get it, but there comes a point where you have to say, you know what? Things are different. Things are changing. It's a different time. Last year, when the Xbox multi-platform thing happened, I was livid. I was like, what the hell are you doing, Xbox? What is going on? But over time, you're starting to see like, damn, you know what? The only people this really affects is the console war. Nobody cares. Casuals don't care. The casuals will see Halo for the PS5. Like, oh, man, Halo for the PS5. Let me pick this up. So at the end of the day, man, this is a new time. It's a different time. And Xbox, PlayStation, and some of these other companies, they're doing what they have to do to survive. We might not like certain decisions they're making, but it is what it is.
Again, look, we're all in agreement here that the multi-plat strategy is not something that we would have signed off on, something that we could ever imagine happening, but it's here. But interestingly enough, even with the fact that, quote unquote, the exclusive game is no longer going to be a driving point or a piece of the conversation, what has not been removed and what continues to be a big part of the conversation is, as Xbox gamers, as Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, we are eating good in the neighborhood. Like, we have so many games. It is, look, folks, I look, here's the thing. I know we say this, and there's going to be some people that are going to make fun of us for saying this, but Xbox got too many games. And here's a perfect example.
It's a problem. It's becoming a problem.
It absolutely is. So I was looking at Game Pass, and I said, let me see what they added, right? Now, I was like, wait a second. I heard they were going to add a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
Yeah.
And I was like, it just like kind of just dropped. And I'm like, I looked at it and I'm like, holy, I this game looks freaking dope. It is, it's like a semi,
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom, just really quickly. I know we keep like harping on how Game Pass, oh my God, Game Pass, right? Because the last thing everybody heard was that they dropped what? Expedition 33. Oh my God, what a game. And everybody's talking about it. It's amazing. Since then, I'm looking at it right now. Towerborn, okay, yeah, that was supposed to come out. Far Cry 4, that's an old game. Call of Duty bundle with Call of Duty 2, you might have played that already. I know 1800, Dredge, a freaking Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, the TMNT game you were talking about, Revenge of the Savage Planet. Like, we're still on Expedition 33, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games already in. They've moved on. It's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy. It's becoming a problem,
and it's not stopping anytime soon.
It's not stopping.
It's not. Yeah, again, they went third party. A lot of us didn't like it, but you know what they didn't do? They didn't hurt Xbox Game Pass from putting content in there. And the more that you see PlayStation's top 10 littered with Xbox first party games, they're making revenue for games that they would have. Again, they're making money hand over fist. I think you're going to see PlayStation eventually make a move. How soon that is, I don't know. But they're gonna be watching and looking at what Xbox is doing on their own store. And right now, everyone that is a PlayStation fan they can't stop buying and talking about Xbox and their games. And that, to me, that's the crux of the conversation. But gentlemen, I want to kind of segue into this report that comes the way of InsiderGaming.com. It was written today by Tom Henderson, and the headline states PlayStation 5 price hike could be next due to tariffs, Sony warns. Now, again, in the same investor call, the CFO had basically said that they are going to unfortunately have to make some big moves on to how and where they make the PlayStation 5. Currently, there are plans to start building the PS5 here in the States that would save them on the tariffs. But some of the monies that they are going to lose are incredible. So I'm going to read verbatim from Dirt, the article, and then I'll hand the mic over to you. Tom Henderson goes on to say, the news came today from Sony CFO Lin Tao, who said that the company's current needs to find approximately 100 billion yen, which is equivalent to $512 million to make up for the impact of the current tariffs. That means that they have this potential of losing $512 million. And this is what she had to say, and I quote, in terms of the tariffs, where we are not just simply calculating the simple tariffs and prices to come up with the 100 billion yen, but are thinking about the current available information and looking at the market trend, we may pass the price to customers and also shipment allocation. So we are taking different measures in managing to come up with that missing 100 billion yen. Now, again, I'm going to read verbatim. CEO Hiroki Totoki weighed in on the tariffs and said this: these hardwares can, of course, be produced locally. I think that would be an efficient strategy, but the PlayStation 5 is being manufactured in many areas, its components especially. So whether it's going to be manufactured in the US or not, it needs to be considered going forward in such a critical situation. Now, again, Dirt, we all kind of expected that PlayStation was going to raise their prices. Like it just seemed like it's just par for the course. Nintendo shockingly did it first, right? With their $450 Switch. Their games are $80. Their peripherals all went up. Some went up $5, some went up $10. Even some of the most mundane peripherals, like a carry case, is near $100, which is freaking ridiculous. And here we are, Dirk Riggedy, where Sony finds themselves in a predicament where the PlayStation 5 has stayed steady at its price. It's only a matter of time before the price goes up for the console, the price goes up for the peripherals, and maybe, and wouldn't be surprised by this, they raise their games to $80. Look at your thoughts on the second half of what the CFO had to say.
Well, Boom, I will tell you this. I say this all the time. This is such a weird generation. Oh my God, man. This is such a weird generation. You know, we're used to consoles going down in price. We're used to the slim model going down in price, and we're in the generation where everything is just crazy. Those days of the big three taking losses on their consoles, those days are gone. They're not doing that anymore. Microsoft, PlayStation, or Nintendo, they're not losing money on every console sold like they used to in the past, because one, the budgets of these games are ridiculous, and they're just done with that. As far as PlayStation doing it, I don't think no one is surprised. When the Xbox did it, I saw some people talking trash. I mean, I would go back a few weeks where PlayStation raised prices in everywhere but the States.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Yep. Then I was talking to some of the Xbox homies, and they were like, "Oh man, what's going on?" I said, "Listen, y'all, calm down. We can't talk trash yet, because Xbox might be doing the same thing." And sure enough, the following week, Xbox is doing it. So, boom. At the end of the day, this is no surprise. This is to be expected at this point. Them saying it is like, okay, yeah, no stuff, you know, like we know what's going to happen. So this generation is weird. Everything is going on with the tariffs. I expect PlayStation to do it. And honestly, I understand why they're doing it. I'm not defending it, of course. Just like when Xbox did it, I'm not defending that. But you kind of understand why they're not taking the loss on this, man. I saw people say, like when Xbox did, oh man, you're $1 trillion company. They want to remain $1 trillion company. They want to take it up another notch. They're not going to take the losses on this, man. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yeah, again, Microsoft. See, and that's the other thing. You know, they did raise prices on everything, and of course, you know, obviously, I said that's a bad look. It's a bad look for Xbox to raise prices. The 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition is over $700. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, but it has happened. Listen, before I bring Hargi Chani and Hargi, just give me a second. Let me catch up on super chats because I actually should have read these before. But I'll get to you in a second. So Adidas 20, generous friend of the program, says, "What's up, Dr. Pepper, Hargeet, and Darkness? Salute." And now stop that. J-Mac drops a very generous, hold on a sec. J-Mac has been a channel member, ladies and gentlemen, for a whopping 42 months. Holy shit, brother. That is crazy generous of you. Thank you so much for the support, J-Mac. He says, "It's crazy to see how far behind PlayStation is now with those MAUs are what's important to them. I guess better late than never. Hashtag graybeards." I mean, they were talking about MAUs a while back. I just don't know if they took it serious. Well, now that they do. Sir Riffs a lot drops a very generous $2 super chat. He goes on to say, "Loves today's panel full of Xbox All-Stars." Very kind of you to say, brother. Thank you so much for the generosity. Appreciate you being here as well, my brother. Do you, K Now, the broke boy insider, has gifted 1 Double Barrel Gaming membership. So, of course, if you got that gaming membership from Will, give him a thank you in the chat. And, of course, not to be outdone, we have Michael Guzman, who, of course, gifts not 1 but 2 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. Michael, that is unbelievably generous of you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the generosity. We have DJ Berto DOS Loose Noob in here, dropping a very generous $5 super chat. He says, "For the love of Joe, hit that like button. Boom, K, Hargeet, and my brother Dirt Griggity." Yeah, Dirt, happy to have him here. And yes, please hit the like button. And you know, while you're here, consider subscribing, folks. We are under 80 subs away from 16K. I mean, come on, we're close. We have Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $10 super chat, and he says, "If you like the NBS 35 plus years ago, centers and power forward shooting threes might be found on the bench with the coach. Now everyone shoots them.
It's a
Things
different game.
change." Yeah, he's
Different
you know
game.
what? He's not wrong. I mean, before
100%.
it was your Larry Birds that were shooting threes.
Yeah, now everybody shoots.
Now everybody shoots them from everywhere, and that's a freaking great analogy, brother. Thank you so much for generosity.
Yeah.
He says gaming is changing, and we need change. Indeed, absolutely.
Yep.
Adidas 20 drops an additional very generous $5 super chat. And he says, "This MAUs matter because there are more phone and PC users used than consoles. Salute to K." I mean, he 1,000% right. The fact that you are holding, basically a PC in your hand, you're playing games that look amazing. And again, that's monthly active users. Hargi, let's talk about price hikes, because I keep reverting back to the shock and awe thing with Nintendo. It's unbelievable to me that they were the ones of the 3. I thought for sure it was going to be Sony first. They shocked everybody, including me, and I'm a longtime Nintendo fan. What it has done for me regarding Nintendo has changed my spending habits. A lot of the games that I used to buy, like the Mario Golfs and the Mario Tennis and the Strikers, I'm probably not going to buy those, because if those are going to be $80, they can suck it. I'm not doing it. But a mainline Zelda, a mainline Metroid, you're probably going to get my money because I'm an OG and I love those games. But Sony looks to be moving in the same direction of the other big two. Right. Obviously, if Nintendo raises to $80 and they raise their console prices and then followed based on tariffs, Xbox does the same thing. I would imagine in the next day or two. That's why they made mention of it, that they're going to get a price hike. But does it end with consoles? Do you think they go full round robin and raise prices on everything?
It's so look, the big thing is revenue per user, right? They already said it. They want to get more average revenue per user, ARPU.
Yep.
And since they want to do that, I guess it depends on how they get there. And it's likely they're going to take both ways. If you know what Sante, what you're pointing out, like a lot of their games are kind of single player, just their narratives, and they're done. If you're not going to have a consistent content or microtransaction thing or game, a battle pass or something, how do you continue to get revenue from that same user? Well, there's charge more for games. That's one option. Mm-hmm. There's charge for upgrades or remasters, which they do a lot of, right? So that's a potential path. Other than that, you have to have games that you could actually, create content for and have it be live. And that, look, they've just not had a lot of luck with that. They have Helldivers, they have Destiny. Let's see how that works with Destiny, by the way. I don't know if everybody from Destiny World is coming back. We will see. But that is kind of what they have to do. And so it's possible that they will. And, you take a look at their budgets for their games. They're extraordinarily large. Granted, not GTA 6 large, but they're very large. And you say, okay, well, if they could pull it off, would they? Now you have to do a calculus of saying, because they don't have Game Pass. This is the problem they have, right? They don't have the offset. If Xbox charges you $80 for Call of Duty, look, a lot of people are going to buy it anyways because they're Call of Duty players are just going to buy it. But a lot of people on Xbox and PC can just get the freaking Game Pass subscription and play their game. They don't have to pay.
Get the Vault Edition for $30.
Right.
Yep.
So it's a different world. You don't have to pay that unless you are on the PlayStation side. You just have to pay it. They don't do their games in their service, right? They sometimes do go in and then get pulled out, but that's after launch. It's not at launch. So you're kind of stuck at this, like, hey, if you want to buy this for $80, you have to pay the $80. And there are gamers who are going to say, that's too much, right? It just depends on the game. If it's something that is actually something you're looking forward to, then maybe you do that. But as you pointed out, Spider-Man 2 didn't sell as well as Spider-Man 1, right? And that's Spider-Man.
But that's a lot of their games. God of War Ragnarok didn't sell as good as the first one. Horizon didn't sell as good as the first one.
So, and that's because of the 70 bump. And look, all those, like, outside of Spider-Man 2, all those games are also cross-gen, right? So you could buy them for $60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
good point.
What do you do in that world? Like, eventually they have to get to a point of realizing like what that cutoff is. We know that sales volume has gone down because of the $70 bump. Forget about the $80 bump. We already know that. What happens when you go to 80? And again, you might say, hey, it's terrible for Xbox to do it. And you're right, it is terrible, but they have Game Pass. They have a foil to that. Just go get Game Pass. You're done.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that. But Game Pass may go up in price. That's a possibility. For now, however, a lot of us are locked in for years. We don't have a price increase. We're good. We have it. So we just get the games in our service and we're good, right? Unless they change that, which hopefully won't happen, right? So that's kind of the way it is on this side of it. If you go to the other side, they're going to have to make that calculus. If we do this, how many people will not buy the game because it's $80, right? They also don't have the same price competition that the others have, a la the digital store being locked to just PlayStation versus the other platforms where you can buy digital codes, right, from other stores. That's going to be another factor that goes into this, right? And it's why they're being sued in the EU because of this practice, right? So these are just headaches they have to run into. You don't get a lot of choices. So yes, physical copies do exist, but a lot of their consoles aren't physical discs anymore. And a lot of people buy digital. They don't buy physical. So you're stuck with that price. What do you do there? And this is going to be a problem for them going forward. It's just a major headache they have to kind of contend with. Yes, I think it sucks all across the board. Why is Mario Kart World $80? I have no idea. It's bullshit, but it is what it is. It's $80 and it started this whole pattern. But is it, for me, from an Xbox perspective, yeah, I don't like them going up to $80. I'm not going to excuse that. But I have Game Pass. It doesn't affect me because I have Game Pass. It's there. I just download the game. I'm done. PC or console, I just download the game. So for me, I've been foiled from that. I don't have to worry about it as much. But for a PlayStation game, the next time I go and try to buy one, well, it'll be on PC. So thank God for me, it's on Steam or it's on Epic, and I can buy it on a freaking store outside of Steam and get it at a discount, right? That's something I get that luxury of. If you're on PlayStation, however, you don't. So I don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to do the $80 thing? Possibly. But if they do, they cannibalize their own sales. They know that. They're going to have to weigh that out and say, what's the value to how many lost in sales? And is that going to be enough for them to justify it? It is a tough position to be in, right? And again, I don't know what Microsoft's going to price at $80. They said it's going to start. My guess is Call of Duty is the game. They've got a captured audience. It's just the way it is. Those people are going to buy it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They can complain about it, but they're going to buy it anyway. So is it going to go down? Maybe it goes down 5%. Okay. They make most of their money on microtransactions anyway. So I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah, whatever. So I don't know that Call of Duty is going to kill them by going to $80. But the next time you have a Returnal and it's, oh, that was $70, now it's $80. Good luck. That thing didn't sell at 70, right? Ratchet and Clank. You think? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Right? No, it's just not going to happen. Like, they're going to have to play that out and say, okay, which games are going to be 50, which games are going to be 60, 70. Then if you want to do 80, it'd have to be an incredible game. And I don't know which one they have that seems to warrant it. I didn't think Mario Kart World warrants it, but I'll give them this. It's a very big seller. Mario Kart 8, whatever it was, sold what's like 50 million or something.
Yeah,
40,
something like that. Yeah.
Ridiculous numbers.
Outrageous.
Like, okay, I get it. They're like, dude, we got a captured audience. They're gonna pay anyway. Let them pay extra time. Okay, fine, fair enough. It sucks. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. But like, it sucks. In Call of Duty, it's gonna work. But what do they have at that level? What do they have at that level? I don't know that they have anything. So if they go to $80 for, say, Intergalactic, it's already got this negative perception. You think that's going to help the game? I don't see it helping the game. That's probably a detriment to the game, very likely, right? If you say Ghost of Yotai, well, thankfully it's already set at 70, right? That's already set.
Yes, it's already been set for $70. Yeah.
So let's just assume that's the way it is. If Wolverine comes out and is $80, which they probably need to do that because they need to recover all the freaking license costs. Is it going to sell? I don't know. This is a very weird situation, right? So, like, Spider-Man 2 didn't. Is Wolverine a bigger property than Spider-Man 2? Well, not really. And what we've seen so far has not been very good. I hope that changes. I hope that was just like some alpha stuff that they were working through and they need to really change the game. But what we saw so far sucked. So I'm hoping the game changes dramatically and it's much, much better when it actually comes to launch. We haven't seen it, to be fair to them, right? So we haven't seen the actual official stuff. I don't know, right? If that game comes out at $80, yikes, that could be a problem for them. So I don't know if it's a good calculus on their part to do so. It's on them to make that choice, though, right? And they will have to figure out if their customers are willing to do it. They could say we launch at 80 and then like 2 months later it's down to 60. Okay, cool. That'd be a way to say fine. At least if people who want to get the discount, they'll get it a little later. Maybe that'll increase sales. Problem though is there are games that come out all the time and the buzz might go away. And if the buzz goes away, you might not get those sales later down the road, right? That you would have gotten at the initial time when it launches and all that buzz is there, right? These are things they're going to have to weigh out, right? I don't know what's going to end up happening, but I find it difficult to think that would be a good idea for them. I wouldn't put it past them though. I think they will probably do it, but I think it's a bad idea. I don't think it'll work for their games. I just think it's going to decrease their sales even more, and they're going to have to keep up. Because, like, the only thing they're saying now is basically they're selling games and third-party games to make money. It ain't console sales.
They said that,
So if that's the way it is, you have to be very careful to not F people over and say, oh, well, if you do that on top of the fact that the other side has Game Pass, you're just begging people to go to PC or console on Xbox and say, why am I here on PlayStation? What am I getting? Right? If FIFA is in freaking Game Pass and, Call of Duty is in Game Pass and generally NBA 2K comes into Game Pass and
Madden's in Game Pass right now.
Right? It's like, okay, hold on. Why do I need to be on your platform when all I do is keep paying every time? So this is going to be an interesting calculus. I think they might do it, but I think it would be to their detriment. I don't think they should. But that's just my thoughts.
No, it's great. And FYI, I pulled up a very interesting stat before I hand the mic over to Asante. So this is reported 4 days ago, and since the release in 2017 for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it has moved lifetime sales 68 million point
Good
20.
God.
So
Now
they're
you can see
closing
why
in
they're
on
like
70
$80.
million. 70 million since the launch.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
And here's some more stats for the quarter fiscal year 24 into 2025. They moved 6.23 million copies.
Oh God.
So people love
You know
Mario
that game's
Kart.
gonna sell, right?
just
It's
a
gonna be
question.
like 20 million easy, and
That's
like, yep,
crazy,
it worked.
Just a quick question on that.
Sure.
So, are you saying that that's the number for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe specifically, not
Yes.
counting Mario Kart 8 its original?
No, this number 68.20 is from 2017's Switch launch to now. Has nothing to do with they sold.
That has nothing to do with the 60. No, okay, hold on. No. See, they're some of them are conflating it because there are pre-Switch numbers and post-Switch numbers. I would love to know what the pre-Switch numbers are because Wii U also sold a ton of people bought it on Wii U and then bought it on Switch.
Yeah, of course they did.
So there's more numbers.
That's Nintendo.
It's crazy. Anyway.
So you know what? Let's get your thoughts, Asante, regarding the price increase. Again, this is Hargeet put it perfectly, and so did Dirt, because the one thing that Xbox has over Nintendo and has over PlayStation is the fact that there's Game Pass. And that's why, with console prices going up, and it's unbelievable because you kind of wonder if Microsoft kind of saw and read the tea leaves early, because they're early on a lot of things. But where this makes sense is that this whole Xbox Play Anywhere, right? That's full steam ahead. Now, I'm not going to be playing on my TV, but interestingly enough, every time my nephew Tyler comes over, he grabs the Samsung that controller. It looks like an Xbox, jumps right on the TV. And when he's not playing here, he goes into the room because we have the TV up hanging, and he plays there. He just grabs the controller and goes, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care what he's playing. He's playing Descenders and Crashing.
Where he is, he's playing. Ask him what console he's playing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's the conversation I have all the time with people. Absolutely.
So the price going up for PlayStation is it's not really a good look for them. Not so much because the price is going up. No, I'm talking about just the overall broad stroke here. They don't have any of their big first-party games. Ghost of Yotai is going to be big. I cannot wait to play that. I think Marathon is going to launch, and it's going to die on the vine. I think that game is not going to do good. But they're potentially going to raise the console price. Well, let's get your thoughts on what the CFO had to say regarding the console. And if they raise the console, I would imagine they're going to raise peripherals. I would imagine that they could want and possibly raise game prices.
I think that they are in a very unique position. I think that unlike the others, they find themselves in a very unique position. I will speak it into the ether as a wise man on this very, very program once said. I think they're a bit of a pickle, as BoomStick likes to say. Right? They're like, you can see this because as correctly been pointed out, right? And this is, and when I say this, I don't mean this in like rah yay, they did a good thing. I mean, oh boy, we're in for it, right? Because unlike the others who are susceptible to standard market conditions, who have to be very careful because they have to treat you like the special snowflake you are while they're selling you their physical hardware, Xbox doesn't got to do any of that. None of that. They can sit there and twist the dial on it as high as they want and go, you don't like it? Game Pass. And all you'll go is, yes, sir. Because it's the best deal available. It just... None of the others can ever do that. They don't have that capability. They don't have an off-ramp for you so that they can go, well, market conditions are causing difficulties, but you know what? We did this consumer thing and keeping costs low. Nobody else can do that.
Right.
The only thing that the PlayStation could have done, and we were speculating about it on our Discord, that I thought that they should have done, even though that would be kind of squeezing blood from a stone a bit, keep your price the same. If you're smart, keep your console price the same. Why? Because we've seen this exact story play out before in a smaller scale, right? As soon as a game came out that nobody could buy on current gen, that's what moved the holdouts.
Yes.
And what did they do? They bought the cheapest available console in order to play said game that they can't do anything about. Right now, Microsoft has given you such a layup in making the Series S more expensive than the standard PS5. What do? You increase the price of the PS5? That is ridiculous and stupid. Because if you keep the price the same, you know definitively that you, who want to move consoles more than anybody else, will be the only game in town for a GTA 6, right? Let's not get it twisted. People are talking all this smack and all this back and forth. I see what's his name? Ryan McCaffrey talking the way he talks. I met Ryan, great dude. I like Ryan, but it's like 3%, homie. You had a Series X and you went and paid extra money for 3% more bandwidth. 3%.
Yeah.
Okay, enjoy your 3% more bandwidth at $800 whatever dollars extra. Like, that's ridiculous. So the idea that, they have to pay for the best. Yeah, it's the best by a drop in the freaking bucket. Like, just like a teeny tiny. And you're paying $800 extra bucks for it. Good luck.
Yeah.
Everyone else, it's the cheapest barrier of entry that will get them in the door. So if GTA 6 shows up and the what do you call it? The discless, the disc only, the discless PS5 is the cheapest way, it moves units. But if you bring that price up and make the Series S once again the cheapest entry point, you're kind of like cutting your nose to spite your face there. You know what I'm saying? Right? In general, and again, I say all this not to say that Xbox is doing it right and PlayStation is doing it wrong, because I have said this as well, and I said this a couple of times. We find ourselves in a different position because yes, full court press, they're throwing games at you. There's no way you can deny it. Game Pass is just hitting on all cylinders. Oh my God, it cannot be denied. Have you found a card that lets you stack 3 months in the last, week or two?
Nope.
Probably not, because they are no longer available. Right? So I suspect what we're seeing here is, come in. The water's fine. Enjoy. The water's great. Don't you feel it's nice and balmy? And when we're all here like little frogs enjoying our games, they slowly start going $5 more, $5 more, $5 more, $5 more. That's where we are headed, ladies and gentlemen. You don't believe me? Look at Netflix. Who is on the train on YouTube TV? It used to be like $20. Now it's like $70.
Yeah,
this is the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's happening. They're all adapting in their own different ways. Now, what will this mean ultimately? We shall see, man. I'll throw something outlandish out there. You'll know what we're saying is correct when Sony starts taking a bag and putting games on PlayStation on Game Pass.
Yep.
Because at some point they'll need to take a bag to make their games continue to be solidified, right? As
that would be crazy,
right? I mean, like we pseudo saw that happen when what do you call it? Death Stranding came to Game Pass, but there's a side ramp for that, right? There's a side step for that. But as we know, if the people in the room are all financially focused more than taking down the quote unquote enemy, when the money is sitting there, at some point it becomes, well, why aren't we taking that? They're eating off of us.
I want to say this. I want to add something before I get you the mic back. Just because we have Dirk Riggedy, I have to on the panel, I have to say this: the day that Days Gone and Spider-Man 2018 launches on Game Pass, MFs, because I don't like the curse, are going to be put into witness protection because there is not going to be a freaking.
He's going to have his hat on.
He is going to.
It's going to have like leather. It's going to have like it's going to be snake print. He's going to walk with a limp. Hey, he's gonna have baby oil in his hand for everybody who needs a slap. I understand.
If that ever happened, I'm calling my supervisor. I gotta go home. I don't feel well. Oh my
I
god.
can see an emergency podcast happening
You
with
have vision
everyone with
problems.
TTS.
You can't see yourself going to work the next day. I understand.
We're not saying it's happening. We're just joking. Calm
No,
down.
we're being
I
we're
see
being
you in the
silly.
chat crying. You know, it ain't happening. Calm down. We're just joking. Calm down, buddy.
Take it easy.
No,
Take it easy.
all we're saying is at some point when the back and forth is no longer advantageous and financials are more priority, they will see that money sitting on the table.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very interesting place that we find ourselves, right? How will they adapt? Maybe they adapt like PlayStation, like Microsoft adapted, right? For me, the MAU talk, they got a lot of great potentials that they are not tapping into because they want to, like, I did this on the Discord today. Like Disney, the Marvel versus the Disney, the Disney MCU, they don't want to take the time and work it right. They want to yada 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 and get right to the end, and that's why they always fail. Right.
Yeah.
But if they change their minds and they go, you know what, we do have these killer IPs. Maybe SOCOM can become something. Maybe Siphon Filter can become something. If they took the time, they could potentially become a contender because their IPs are still God tier, even with that in mind. I just think they're not ready to walk the walk yet. They want quick profit. And for now, that'll put them in a very precarious position. That's what I'm thinking they are right now.
Great points from everybody on the panel. Shout out to nearly 700 people here watching live across Twitch, YouTube, and of course X, or well, Twitter. Let me just get these last two super chats and we'll get everyone out of here, folks. We have Torino Johnson, who not only has been a channel member for a whopping 20 months, nearly 2 years, he has also dropped a very generous $2 super chat. And basically in his member chat, he says, Marlin Gaming praised Doom and said to his audience, I would imagine this is live on the air, that the Series X is a beast. He informed them that Doom will be dropping into Game Pass. They all know the truth. Yeah, I mean, this is a AAA banger, and it's probably the best in the series. And yeah, it dropped into your service. He also drops a very generous $2 super chat and basically says, just some support, Boom. Salute to you, Torino. Thank you so much for that. But listen, folks, great show. 3 topics. The one was a bit, the one that opened up the show was a bit of a drag because, you know, it's people getting laid off and no one's ever happy to see that. But I do enjoy at least making sure that, you know, it is a conversation that we should have because these are people that have families and responsibilities, and without a job, that doing those things become very difficult. But Dirk Quigley, let's sell your brand, brother. Where could people subscribe to your YouTube channel and check out your weekly podcast? You and Shan do a great TTS podcast. You do fantastic work at the One Man Dark Man podcast. I don't know how you go that long, you know, being solo, because without having someone to bounce off of, that's hard work right there.
What a chat.
Yeah, the chat. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Always, you know. Yeah.
But listen, sell the brand, brother. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel and follow you on social media where you normally TTS?
Yeah, well, thanks for the invite, man. Fun topic, fun show. Yeah, check out my channel, Dirt Griggity. Spelled DIRT. I just Sean changed it to dirt like this, and I never changed it back. So yeah, check out my channel. I have a lot of fun. I'm pro Xbox content creator. I do console war. So if you're not into the console war, my channel probably isn't for you. But I have fun with it. I have fun. Have a podcast on Monday called WBG We Bleed Green podcast. Make sure you stop by and check that out. And like Boom said on Thursday, I have my One Man Dark Man podcast, and Friday I have TTS with my homie Sean 786 on his channel, and that's about it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Super appreciate it, brother. Hargi Chun, let's sell the brand, brother. Where can people not only subscribe to your YouTube channel, certainly not follow you on social media, but you also wrote a book last year called Emergence. Where can people stop by and potentially pick that up, especially if they're fans of the series Mass Effect? I think there is very close one-to-ones there. Sell the book, brother. Sell the brand. Where can people subscribe? Talk about it.
Yeah, so if you want to subscribe to my channel, it's Hargi-Chani1 on YouTube. I did just put up, I think Kesanta, you guys did as well, but PAX East content, so you can check that out. So check that out if you want to. And then, yeah, my book, shop.chani.us. If you want to pick it up, you can get a signed copy. You can just go directly to Amazon and whatnot. The links are there. So you can pick that up if you like. And yeah, the fun with the watch party stuff is still happening. And if you guys are coming out to LA, try to catch up with us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's again, I'm very much looking forward to it. Less than a month away. And we are expecting to get a big showcase. Again, the running rumor is that it's bigger than last year. I don't know how that's possible, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. But Que Asante, not only do you on Saturdays have an amazing podcast called the Gaming Circle Podcast with Everborn Saga, which of course is always great because you have guests and you talk about, well, the best news of the week. But you, my friend, did one heck of a job while you guys are out at PAX East. You did a bunch of interviews, and some of the games, especially from the indie side of things, look amazing. Sell the brand. Where can people check out that new content? Subscribe to your YouTube channel, and more importantly, follow you on social media.
Well, yeah. First and foremost, thanks to everybody who always tunes in every week and comes out here and checks out the podcast. Always a great part of my week. Hump day to come and hang out with the brothers and talk games. Shout out to the great Dirt Griggity. Real recommendation, Dirt. Dark man, nah, chocolate man, chocolate man. Stop that, nah, man. Come on now. Anyway, anyway. So yes, for those who like the content, myself, Everborn Saga, found ourselves at PAX East, where we called it guerrilla filmmaking. We did, I think, 10 interviews in like 2 days, and we just spoke to a lot of great independent developers. Check out the channel on the GCP channel, and a bunch of awesome games. I particularly love, as y'all know, love indie games. So I got a chance to really speak with a good group of indie games. A couple AAAs here and there as well. If you like Crimson Desert, check that out. Crimson Desert's in there. A lot of really cool stuff for Crimson Desert. I have maybe one or two more coming out that I want to post up. The last one I'll actually recommend people go check out is a game called Pizza Bandit. I just posted it I'd say maybe 2 or 3 hours before the show started. Think of a cooking game with Gears of War graphics and gameplay. Yes, that's right. Gears of War.
Sounds crazy.
Gameplay and cooking. It's totally wild. But we had a great time, talk a bunch of devs. So check us out, the Game Circle Podcast YouTube channel, TKO Asante on all the places. You follow me and you'll be able to keep up with all that stuff. But thanks to all the people who've been checking it out, and we're looking forward to doing more of that stuff. Thanks.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Shout out to the chat for always being engaging and fun. Again, we know that it's unlikely PlayStation games are going to be on Xbox Game Pass. Take it easy. Don't jump off the ledge.
People losing their minds.
But it's okay. It's fine. It could happen, but it's not happening anytime soon. But they're gonna have to figure out where they get these new MAUs from, and it's not going to be the PlayStation console or the fan base. They need to go other places. Maybe it's PC, maybe it's Switch. Eventually it's gonna be Xbox, but who knows when that happens. But a big thank you to all of the super chats, all of the newly donated memberships, as well as the current memberships that are being funded by the people right here in the chat. A big thank you from Mrs. Boom and myself, because again, it does allow us to do some of the big giveaways, and those are happening second half of 2025, as well as keep up with the equipment and the programs that run the show. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me.
Super chat just showed up.
Oh, okay. Hold on a sec. Let me just get that. Let me see, because I usually... Okay, so we do have another super chat. Day Reezy, what's going on, brother? Day, great to see you here, and thank you so much for the $2 super chat. He says, Dirt, the length of Doom on your 480i TV, okay? I don't know what's happening there. That is just rude.
Don't worry about it. Someone,
Day Reezy, my God, my brother. Thank you so much for always being here.
They talking about I got a 1080i TV.
I know. I know what they were going with. I don't think you have a 1080i TV, but it's fine.
I was talking about back in 2006. I had a 1080i TV, and Sean said I still got it. I'm like, please stop it, man. I have a 1080i TV right now.
They follow you wherever you go, and they throw
everywhere
insults.
I go.
It's wrong. It's wrong. But Day, love you, brother. Thank you so much for the generosity. And of course, folks, I will close out the show with something that my dad taught us when we were kids, and it would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. Phenomenal show. Thank you so much for hanging out.